Onegaishimasu. There, maybe we'll do a quick warm up down here. Rolling the shoulders. Other way. Keeping the shoulders relaxed down. And up and down. And rolling the head on the chest. Breathing into the abdomen the whole time. And up, a little turn. And bend, stretch. Use both arms equally. Extend out through the little fingers. A little arch to the back corner. Equally through both arms. And then you can actually touch down with that one arm to stretch a little further with the other. That way, bend the back a bit. And a little bit with the wrists. Dash. Thank you. You can also go under the arm, the elbow point straight up. Go rolling in front of the body or rotating under the arm. Palm up, grab the fingertips. So we stretch the front of the wrist and the front of the arm. Okay, shake the hands, breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth, and drop 3 times as you're breathing out. Breathe in, fill the belly, breathe out. Rock the whole body, right down to the hips. Okay, and a little turn, swing the arms, and you can shake the hands as you do that. Okay, now I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. I'm going to go into the stretch here, arch the back. Stretch in the back, and then coming back, sitting on the legs again, and stretching the other way. Now I'll come back to all fours. Push the knees off the ground. Hold a plank for a little bit. Stretch again. And this time, push the hips all the way back. Let's do that a couple times. So hips right to the ground. You're also stretching the toes there too, right? And hips back. Hold that for a few seconds. Make sure you're not holding your breath though. And once more, hips down. Hips back. Now walk your hands towards your feet. And then come up by pressing your legs into the ground and pushing your hips forward. Good. Now, hip circles. Good. Knee circles. Forward and back. Forward and back. the legs a little bit, warm them up. So you go on the ball of the foot and rotate your knee in a circle. So you're moving everything from the hip down, joint, knee joint, ankle joint, feet. Everything's being warmed up, and then circles the other way. Okay, to the other side.
Be sure I gotta move this because I gotta plug in.
Good. Now swing your arm sideways again and lift the knees.
There we go.
And knees do the same thing, but the arms go up and down, just like the knee is. Okay, hands resting at your center on your belt. You're going to lift your knee up and over. So you're making a crescent shape. The knee comes up in front and rolls over. Okay, good. Now, let's do Taino Henko. This is on Charlotte's program, and it's also part of our warm-up. So it'd be good to continue warming up and do this basic movement. I'll demonstrate a couple. So let me just explain that again. This is all review. Everything in front of my center line. I come offline and I turn on that foot as I step offline. Then I do a tenkon. And when I do that, I want to keep everything in front of my center when I turn so it doesn't get stuck behind. Everything in front as I turn. Cover my center line. My partner would grab me on the outside of the wrist. I keep my structure and my extension so they can't invade my space and take over my posture. I keep my own posture, my own structure. I step out of the way, offline, and a big turn back. And that's here, gate on, just kind of low. Gate on means low. Okay, let's try a few of those just to continue our warm up. Let's have the left leg forward, hidari. So let's do these together. Break it down just a bit. Center line, make sure you're nice and clear. Front foot, offline. So you're pointed towards your partner, and then a big turn. That's tenkon, right? So elbows are down and forward. Okay, a couple more like that. Offline, big turn. You hold that posture for 3 seconds and correct anything that needs to be corrected. Once more. Offline, tenkon. That's Taino Henko. Okay, other side. Migi Handi. Offline. The hand and wrist stays in front of your center as you turn. Weights in the forward leg. Forward stance. Offline. Big turn. Everything in front of your center. Once more. Offline. Turn. Okay. Now let's come down here. Another technique from 13th Kyu program. I'll demonstrate. It's Kokyu dosa. So good posture to start with. Hands are out. And you can even do palms up starting if you want, because that gives you lots of rotation. That's an option. You can just start basically Minuchi. If you want to start palms up, that's okay. So as I roll my hips forward, because I don't want to just lean forward from my upper body and be kind of top heavy. So I stay in my base. Instead of leaning from my upper body will go that direction, but it's because I'm moving from here, from my hips. So I rotate my hips and my back still stays nice and straight. And when I do that, instead of just drooping down. As I rotate my hips forward, because the hips is your center, hips is your core, it's your power center, power area, center of the body. As I rotate my hips forward, that pushes my Minuchi forward. And then I want to take my partner to one side. Remember, your partner is grabbing both your wrists. So let's say I'm going this way. I'm going to move my knee over a little bit so I have a wider base, or so that I can go that direction a little easier. So I roll forward and I push my Minucci through my partner. So my partner will end up going back like this. So I roll forward, open the leg so I can turn to that direction and do a little mini shiko, a little tiny shiko to get close to my partner. This knee will go to the ribs, right close to my partner, and Minucci on the ground. I'll do that once to the camera if you want to watch that. I rotate my hips forward, send my hand blades right towards my partner. Then I want to go that way, open up my base so it's easier for me to turn that way. Turn my hips. It's not my arms fighting to go over there, because maybe their arms are stronger than my arms. But their arms won't be stronger than my whole body. It won't be stronger than my core. So turn my hips, then a little mini shiko, and then Minucci on the ground. Now on the ground here, again, one hand blade on the wrist, one hand blade across their body on their shoulder. But if you just think of doing Minucci into the ground, that would be really good. So I don't want to do this because that's leaning forward. I want to be settled in my seiza, settled in my base. It's like I'm sinking into the ground with my entire body. Okay, let's do some of those together at the same time. Okay, so arms forward, rotate your hips forward. That sends your hand blades right to your partner's shoulders. And then let's open up the left leg, turn the hips to the left, and then the right hand does a little, the right leg does a little shiko, and down with Minucci on the ground, settle through your hips right into the ground. So going through your hips and through your hand blades into the ground. Okay, let's do that side a couple more times. Coming back. Starting with good extension. Rotate the hips forward. So you're pushing your partner back. Open up the left leg. Turn your hips to the left. Drop your hand blades down. Downward Minucci. Bring in the right knee. Sink into the ground. Okay, coming back. Rotating forward, that's 1. Opening the leg, that's 2. Turning, 3. Dropping down, 4 with your hand blades. Coming in, 5. Sinking, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's try a couple really smooth together without the counting, just smoothly going through that. Into the ground. One more. Okay, let's do the other side. Break that down on the other side. So rotating the hips forward, holding it, opening up the right leg so we can turn the hips to the right. Drop the hand blades, so downward Minucci. Bring in the left knee, a little Minucci, or a little shiko on the left leg. Sink into the ground with hips and hand blades without leaning forward. Okay, let's come back. So, big Minucci, rotate the hips forward, push the Minucci through your partner. Open up the right leg, turn the hips to the right, drop the hand blades down. Shiko in a tiny bit with the left leg, sink down. Okay, so that's 1. Opening the legs, 2. Turning hips is 3. Downward Minucci is 4. Little shiko in is 5. Sinking down into the ground is 6. Let's do that once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's do a couple where they're nice and smooth and no counting. Here we go. And let's come back and start again. Height. And once more. Height. Good. Now let's do one more thing from 13th Kyu program, Charlotte's program, Myukami, front roll. Now in the 13th Kyu program, senior 13th Kyu program, the last half of 13th Kyu, we do it from Tachiwaza, standing. Because white belt, we do Myukami from kneeling. This program, we do it from standing. But let's just do a couple from kneeling just to make sure we're doing everything right and maybe we're still warming up. So let's just do one or two from kneeling. So half stays up, you point the knee and the elbow, same direction. And that will also make those fingers come back towards you, right? That's the main part of the wheel. Put that down on the ground. This is the other part of the wheel. Put that on the ground. Put your head in the wheel. What that really means is you're tucking your chin, right? To put the head in the wheel, you have to get your head all the way. As you know, you want to roll on the outside of the arm, not over the shoulder in front here, close to the head. So on the outside of the body. Senpai especially, senpai, make sure you don't collapse the arm like that. A lot of people do that. A lot of adults do that too. They might start off good, and then they bend the arm like this. They start off okay, rounded, and then when they start to roll, their arm bends and turns this way. So they go something like this. They bend their elbow, but now you see my head, there's nothing between the ground and my head. And I'm rolling from my shoulder instead of my arm. It's too close to the ground. So I want to keep that curve, that roundness, and roll along every millimeter along that line on the outside of my arm. Not collapse down to roll on my shoulder. So senpai, it's really important you work on refining your roll, because we can always get better at everything we do and refine. And that's part of the thing we all need to develop our rolls, is to work along so that we're rolling on the ground along every tiny little spot along that line, every millimeter, not collapsing to here. Okay, so let's do my.
I can't bend over, so I don't know why you can't do this.
We'll do one side and then go back on the other side. Every time, get everything set up. Put in the wheel. Roll along every part of that line on that front wheel. Okay, so let's do a couple on each side. I'll take a look. Just doing it from kneeling to start with. Okay, now let's do it Tachiwaza. So that's from standing. So you can watch me first. Okay, so Charlotte, this is called Tachiwaza Myukami. Tachiwaza means standing. My is front. Ukami is falling. So our falling drill for this is the roll. So my front roll, my ukami, front falling. So we start in regular hami no kamai. Then all I have to do is turn that front hand to point down. So now it's round in that wheel. I just put that wheel touching the ground. And now watch this. It's the same as kneeling. The only difference is that back knee is up. Other than that, it's the same as what we just did, rolling from kneeling. So from Senpai, I want you to be very clear about these details as well. We start in Hami no Kamae. I rotate that front hand, fingers pointing down, of course, still staying round. So it's basically a downward manuchi. Right? Same shape as manuchi. Downward. Of course, that's the wheel that I roll on. So if you watch carefully, Hami no Kamae, I rotate that front hand so the fingers point down and back towards me. And I place both hands on the floor. And this is the line I want to roll on. Now that's the same as rolling from kneeling, except that knee is up. So I'll demonstrate one. Hami no Kamae. Put the wheel on the ground. Tuck the chin. Slowly teeter off to roll on that arm. Maybe I can demonstrate going the other way here. Hami no Kamae. Rotate that front hand to point down. In other words, put the wheel on the ground. Tuck the chin. Slowly push off that back leg to roll on the front arm. And then you come up at Hami no Kamae. So Charlotte, if you start with the right leg forward, you finish with the right leg forward. If you start with the left leg forward, you finish when you come up with the left leg forward, left Hanmi. So I'll demonstrate one more time and then I'll watch you guys do it. So I'm having this leg forward. So when I come up, that's the leg that should be forward. Okay, so watch how I start. This side forward. I take my time to set up. Slowly push over. The same leg is still forward and I finish in the same stance. Okay, so let's see you do alternating sides. So do one side, then do the other. And we'll just do a few of those. And Charlotte, can you angle your screen down a little bit so I can see you do the roll on the ground? Okay, Senpai, go ahead. Yeah, if you need to take turns, that's fine. That's it. Good job, Senpai. And Senpai, try to be clear about every detail. Titus, try to roll a bit more on your side. You're going a little bit over the top. Go more on the outside. And yeah, Charlotte, if you can tilt it down just a little bit more. Right about there. Senpai, keep your chin tucked the whole time, even when you come up. Okay, Charlotte, let's see you do one. All the Senpai, make sure you're rolling on the outside of the arm and shoulder, not on top. So Charlotte, that's okay. Let's see you do a couple, all right? Okay, we're going to move on to Senpai's program. So Charlotte, I'd like you to follow along, do the best you can. This is Senpai's program, but it's really good basic drills and self-defense techniques. It's a preview into the higher ranks. So this is from, if you had a partner, you have to use your imaginary partner. You're coming in for a push. It might be a shove, or coming in for a walking push like that, or eventually it could be a running push. But it's a two-handed push to your shoulders or to your chest. Okay, so everybody, let's do Hidari Hanmi, left leg forward. So Senpai, we're just going to continue on from where we left off last time through your program from where we left off. So we're going to do Irimi Sugiyashi, Ikkyo push, and let's start with the Tenkai. So we'll do the first couple very clear and broken down, so we're all clear about what we're doing. So again, the attack would be coming in here to the shoulders or chest, left side forward. Let's do this together. Irimi Sugiyashi, Tenkai. So you're pushing them or helping them go along in the direction that they started in. Really important, Senpai, that you keep your knees bent, because especially if they're bigger than you or stable and you're pushing on their arm, it could push you over. So of course, we always want our weight low. Knees are bent, so we're nice and stable. All the things we always work on. The other thing to keep in mind as well is we want that extension, that Manuchi, not in too close. Because if we're in close like that, they're in close to us. They might give us an elbow or a headbutt, or easier to grab us or kick us. So we want extension for safety. So we have a big personal bubble, not a collapsed or broken personal bubble. Clear, strong personal bubble. Just like we want a clear, strong, unbendable wheel in our roll, we want a clear, strong boundary. So you keep your extension. That means you have to move far enough away. Your arms are out here, not bent. Also, if your arms are bent and in close, you have to use your arm muscles to get them back out again. And it may not be strong enough, especially if they're much bigger or heavier. If you're out here, you don't need your arm muscles to move them. You just use your structure and your movement, not these little muscles in the arms. So try to keep all that in mind as we do this. So we'll start very slow. Keep that in mind. Nice low center of gravity. Knees bent, keeping extension. That means we have to move far enough to keep our extension. Okay, here we go. Imagine your partner's coming in to push to the chest or shoulders. Irimi Sugiyashi, get out of the way, and Tenkai. Now, do that again. Irimi Sugiyashi. Remember, this hand is going to go approximately to their wrist. This hand approximately to their elbow. And then Tenkai. Okay, a couple more. Offline, Tenkai. So let's do that in 2 counts. Each knee, knees bent. Each knee. Each knee. Now all of that in 1 count. Each. Now you should be in a forward stance here, because that helps you push. So I get out of the way, I'm turning and shifting my weight to the other leg, forward stance. So not only do I have a turn, but I have a weight shift to help me push. 1 count, each. E. Okay, let's switch to the other side. Migi Hanmi. Good Hanmi no Kamai. Irimi Sugiyashi. Tenkai. Coming back. Keep your extension, keep your weight in the front leg. Forward stance. Offline. Tenkai. Now your weight is in the other leg. Left leg. Forward leg to help push. So you're rotating and shifting the weight. Offline, far enough so you can keep your extension the whole time, using your extension, your structure, not pushing with your muscles. Let's do that on 2 counts. Irimi Sugiyashi, each, Tenkai, knee. Each, knee. Each, knee. Now, all that on one count. Each. Make sure you're in your forward stance now at the end to your left leg. So then you've used the weight shift. Each. Oops. Sugiyashi. Each. Each. Keep everything in front. If you turn your hips and you leave your arms behind, you're going to drag your partner across, and those muscles aren't very strong. So you always want to keep everything in front of your center and turn your center. Each. Forward stance. Each. Okay. Now, let's keep the right side forward, and now we'll do Irumi Ayumiyashi. Ayumiyashi. Okay, so right side forward, Irumi Ayumiyashi, Tenkai. Irumi Ayumiyashi, Tenkai. Irumi Ayumiyashi, get out of the way, Tenkai, to send them on their way. On 2 counts, each, knee. Each, knee. Each, keep your extension, knee. Okay, on 1 count. Each. Remember, this hand goes to the wrist, this hand goes to the elbow or a little bit above the elbow. Each. Knee. Sa. Okay. Hidari Hanmi, left side forward. Irumi Ayumiyashi, Tenkai into the other leg. Okay, Irumi Ayumiyashi, keep your extension. Tenkai, shift your weight to the front leg. On 2 counts. Each. Knee, keep everything in front of your center. Each. Knee. Each. Knee. So Charlotte, do the best you can. Keep good posture the whole time. Not leaning and keeping both feet flat. Not tilting forward. Nice and flat, nice and low. Good bubble to protect your space. Okay, on 1 count. Each. Knee. San. Okay. Now, let's go back to the basic movement, Sugiyashi. Irumi Sugiyashi, and we'll do Tenkan instead of Tenkai. So back to Irumi Sugiyashi. Instead of Tenkai, we're going to do Tenkan. Now, when you do Tenkan, it might even be harder to keep your hands in front of your center because it's a big turn. You might leave your hand behind a little bit. So you need to make sure it stays in front of your center, just like Tai no Henko. Just like Tai no Henko. Tai no Henko is also a big turn. And that's why we talk so much about keeping that in front of your center. It's going to be real easy to lose that. So when I do Irumi Sugiyashi, this would be incorrect. This would be wrong. When I do my Tenkan, right now my hands are in front of my center, but watch when I do the big turn. I'm losing it behind a little bit. They're staying behind. So instead of that, when I do Tenkan, I want my hands to move in front of my center. Move in front of my center, not be left behind, and then try to bring it back. So as I do my big turn, my Tenkan, my hands move across my center. Okay, here we go. Irumi Sugiyashi, Tenkan. Forward stance at the end. Irumi Sugiyashi, then con. So you're turning completely around, 180 degrees. On 2 counts, each, each. Each, grabbing the wrist, grabbing the elbow. Big turn, big tenkon. Each, knee. On 1 count. Each, knee. Ah. Okay, let's work the other side. Migi. Hirmisugiyashi. Tenkon. Good extension. Staying in front of center line, just like we're holding a sword. Hirmisugiyashi. Tenkon. Hirmisugiyashi. 1 hand on the wrist, 1 hand at the elbow or just above. Big tenkon. Weights in the forward leg. Okay, 2 counts. Each, knee. Each, knee. Each, knee. Staying in a forward stance. On 1 count. Each, knee. San. Okay, let's do misogi. Nice aligned vertical posture. Come to your center, right below the belt. Breathe in, expand from your center. Breathe out, relax back to the center. Opening, expanding as you breathe in. Settling and centering as you breathe out. Breathing in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Settle your weight. Okay, let's bow out. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.